Okay, so here's my update. I just finished week 11 of the shred program that I'm doing, and we're almost to the end. I have one more week. Next week is week 12, and it's peak week for this program. Even though I'm not like competing, she's still doing, she's still set kind of like a peak week, so we can kind of get an idea of what peak week really would be more like if we were going to be competing. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that because she sent out, so again, I'm doing this through the Sculpted Vegan, and she sent out a document that was like our peak week guide. And I knew peak week was going to be a little bit different in terms of the meal plan, but I didn't know that there was going to be a whole different like workout, that we were going to switch up the workouts a little bit. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't know, because I think it's actually going to make it a lot easier for me to get through the peak week. So, I mean, maybe I'll talk about that a little bit more next week. And I'm actually thinking about doing like maybe a peak week vlog just to see, but I don't know. I've been thinking back about, basically we're to the end, and she's like, any muscle or whatever that you were gonna build, or any like substantial fat loss that you're gonna have has probably already happened over the past like 11 weeks. So this next week is just about kind of just getting your body to a place where you can best show off your results, I guess. So I don't know. Overall, I'm happy with my results. I weighed in today and I weighed 136. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was 136 point something. And when I started out, I think, what was I when I first started actually? I was about 150. Oh, wow. Wait, when do we start? Yeah, I think when I started this, I was around 155, 156. So, I mean, that's a pretty substantial weight loss over 3 months. My average weight this week, even though I weighed 136 today, the average weight throughout the week was 138.5, which was a 2-pound average loss from the week before. The calories also went down to 1,200 calories, and I stuck to that pretty well. I will say the main thing, looking back, I could have pushed a little bit harder at the gym, but I don't necessarily regret how I worked out, I guess. Maybe I'm not going to do this so much reflection here. There were things that I could have done differently, but I would say overall I'm pretty happy with what I've done. I've gone to the gym every day, I've done every workout, I followed the meal plan pretty well. The only thing I didn't do was I had a little bit extra carbs in the form of fruit throughout most of the weeks, including this last week. Like, this last week was a little bit harder to stick 100% to the meal plan because I was just craving fruit so much more. And I think it's just going to get worse next week, but I am going to stick 100% to the meal plan next week because we're supposed to do 4 days of, it's not no carbs, but it's low carb. And she goes through the whole thing in the document of like, we want to deplete our muscles of the glycogen so that when we do our pictures, to get all of the water weight off, and then also when we do our pictures, before we do our pictures next week, we're going to carb load for 2 days to kind of get the muscles looking a little bit fuller, get the glycogen into the muscles. And then she's got like a little pump routine to do like right before the photos. So, I mean, I don't know. I think I've got a little bit more body fat. I definitely have more body fat than someone who would go on stage, for sure. So I don't know how effective like the depleting of glycogen and everything is gonna go, how much it's gonna show, because I do have like still some fat over my muscles, but I'm just gonna do it just to get the experience, I guess. But yeah, overall my carbs were a little bit higher this week. than last week, but I'm gonna stick to it, the program next week, and just see how it goes. But yeah, I feel like there was like a million things I wanted to talk about, but I don't want to ramble too much, so I will just get to, I'll go ahead and show my apps real quick, and then I will do my my measurements. Okay, so we'll start with my Fitbit. Steps have been good. I think my sleep has been pretty good. Yeah, there's been a couple days I didn't wear my tracker, but what I wanted to look at most was the weight. So yeah, I was 136.4 today, and this time last week I was 139.8. And if you look at where I was about 3 months ago when I started this, like, yeah, it's a pretty steady trend down. Like, there's ups and downs, like, throughout the week, like I said, from day to day. Even though I'm eating the same thing, the weight just changes. So, yeah, better to look at the average and the trend than go by day-to-day weight for sure. So, yeah, if you're looking specifically at weight loss, this program was definitely good for that. Let's see. Let's go to MyFitnessPal and look at the food. So yeah, these were my calories throughout the week. The goal was 1,200 calories. The daily average was 1,247, but I stayed around 1,200 for all the days. And then Sunday is still the kind of refeed day. So that's why it's a little bit over 1,200. So I stayed within the calories, even though I did add some more fruit on some of the days. So there was like the last 2 days, instead of having my last protein shake, I substituted those calories with fruit, which was probably not the best thing, but I don't know, couldn't help myself, I guess. So because of that, my macro breakdown was 42% carbs, 20% fats, and 38% proteins. So I still was close to that 40% target on the proteins, and it looks like I've substituted most of my fat somehow for, the carbs. But yeah, overall, I don't think it was that bad. Was it perfect? No, but I still think it was pretty good. But next week, I'm going to try to stay like right on point with the meal plan. And I've already got my meals prepped, so I'm ready and kind of looking forward to it. And especially looking forward to the last 2 days of next week, because they're kind of carb loading days. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But we will see what effect, kind of these lower calories had, if it had any effect on my measurements. Okay, so here is what everything looks like. So I did notice this week my legs seem to be a little bit slimmer. So we'll see how that goes with the measurements. I don't really know that much. I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes. But so here's front. Side. So there's how we're looking. I haven't like practiced my posing as much as I should. They have like a posing tutorial, and I've watched that. Like, I watched it at the very beginning, and I watched it again yesterday. So today and throughout the week, I do want to practice the posing a little bit. Those are the basic poses. When we turn it in, there needs to be a front shot, before and after, and then one on each side, and then a back shot. And I mean, the posing will be pretty similar, but it's just knowing how to kind of like stand to show off, and how to flex a little bit to show off a little bit better. So with all of these poses, the side views, I haven't been flexing at all. So my stomach will definitely look a little bit slimmer when I am kind of flexing next week. But yeah, like overall, I'm happy with my results so far, and whether or not I get in the top 10, we'll just have to see. So, yeah, next I'll take the measurements and see if they've changed any from last week. Okay, so we will start again with the chest. And thankfully my chest is held in there. Like, I know it's gotten smaller because my bras are still just fitting looser and looser, but still still hanging in there. But we'll start with the band, because that's been a big complaint from a lot of people in the group, is that their chest has just gotten so small because they've lost so much weight in their chest. But I guess I just had enough that it doesn't look that much different in proportion to the rest of my body, I guess. But for the band, which I have lost a lot, I think around my back here, which is why this has gone down so much. And that's one thing that my roommate noticed, was that my back looks a lot better. So this is 29 and a half. So that did go down, because last week it was 30 and a quarter. I don't know that the top part has changed that much. Let's see. So this is looking about 35 and a quarter. Same, stayed the same as last week. And then the waist, last week I have written down 30 and 3/4. I don't feel like this has changed that much, but we'll see. So it looks like it's 30 and a quarter, so about half an inch actually. And then the hips. $39 and a half. That's the same as last week. So there we go. Yeah, I don't think there's that much to lose on my hips, because I just have big hips. And then my thigh, I think I may have lost some here, but we will see. Last week it was 21 and a half. It's about the same. Maybe 21 and a quarter, so maybe like a 1/4 inch down on my thighs, but you can see a little bit of muscle right there. So I guess we'll see whenever I do my like water drop. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put 21 and a quarter. So I did lose a little bit this week. We'll see how it goes, because I am doing the first 4 days next week of 1,200 calories. And then also we're doing like, it's a water drop, but what she says is, you know, a lot of like, when you're really competing, you may go to like some pretty extremes to like kind of deplete your body of water. And so she said, because some people had some concerns about it, you know, about like hurting their kidneys or whatever. And what she said is like, this is not like as extreme as you would in a real bodybuilder. And she's kind of done it to where you should have some water loss, but it's not like you're like totally dehydrating yourself. And actually we're drinking, the way it goes from what I understand is we're going to be drinking a lot more water. So our body will start like pushing water out, because it's like, oh my gosh, you're taking in so much water. So it will start just kind of like pushing the water out. And then there's also some supplements, because we're going to be drinking so much water. We're taking like potassium, we're taking a couple of supplements. She said like to go ahead and don't worry about salt. Make sure you're taking in enough salt. And then potassium supplements. And then there's some other that are kind of like diuretic type supplements. So it's like vitamin C and dandelion root and like B6. There's like a few supplements that I'm going to try taking this week just to kind of help with the water loss and just kind of keep myself healthy during the water drop. So I don't know, it'll just be interesting. Like that's what I like about this whole thing, is it's interesting to see how you can kind of change your body by like tweaking these different things. And like even though I weigh like 135, which is a great weight for me, I definitely look different now at 135 than I have in the past at 135, because I did build a lot of muscle. So like I feel like, yeah, even though I weigh 135, I feel like I look more like I'm weighing in like the 120s, if that makes sense, because even though I weigh 135, it's a lot of muscle, or more, not a lot of muscle, but more muscle than I normally would have, because I'm definitely going to the gym and lifting more weights this time. So it's just kind of interesting to see how a body can look so different at the same weight. Like the same body can look different at the same weight depending on if you're going and weightlifting a little bit versus just having it be fat, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's all I have. I'm kind of looking forward to next week. I'm like kind of dreading it, but kind of looking forward to it, because I think the diet is going to be a little bit hard, and I don't know how the water drop thing is going to be, but yeah. We're going a little bit easier at the gym. She's taking down, instead of like focusing on trying to build up more muscle, she's focusing on just doing exercises at higher volume, but not like higher weights. So we're actually dropping some of the weights, but doing an extra set and doing a few more reps. So yeah, the workouts are going to change a little bit, and we're also not doing the last 2 workouts, because she says that you don't want your muscles inflamed. The goal this next week is just to kind of, like I said, get your body, based on all the work that we've done previously, to look as best it can, to kind of show off the results of the hard work. So yeah, I will be back next week with my update. So that'll be the end of this challenge, and then I don't know going forward. Like I don't know if I'll still do. I don't know what I'm gonna do going forward. So we'll just kind of see what happens after that. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to kind of see the outcome. And like I said, I've kind of not looked at my before photos, just so it can kind of be a surprise, because I think from week to week I always say like, well, I don't think it's changed that much, but I think I've lost 20 pounds somewhere in there, and so I'm sure it's gonna look different, but I'm hoping to be kind of like surprised at how different I look. So we'll see that next week.